Mm-hmm. We're gonna do some cooking this morning, and we're gonna talk. I'm trying to make like a what do you call it? Like a taco style seasoned cheesy dip for pork rinds. I went for my walk last night. I went for about a 20-minute walk. 20-minute walk, and I felt great. I found out something interesting. Um, Angie, hey, what's going on? Angie told me that her coworker, let me see if I can clear this lens up some, has, or her coworker's husband that works at the police department has tested positive for COVID-19. So I said, what does that mean for us then? If you sit right next to this girl, I mean, you sit just a couple feet away from her, does that mean that I could possibly have it and don't even know it and be asymptomatic? And she said, I don't know, Rich. I don't know. It's kind of odd. They're allowing this guy to leave work. They're going to clean the police station, and they're allowing him to come back to work. And I said, that doesn't make any sense because you should be quarantined. I'm going to make like a cheesy taco style pork rind dip with cheese, taco seasoning, and ground beef. Something to dip pork rinds in later tonight when we watch a movie. And we're talking about the coronavirus. But this dude tested positive for it, and his wife is saying that they're allowing him to come back to work. How would you allow somebody to come back to work that's infected with the virus so they can reinfect the entire police station? Doesn't make any sense to me. So I called the triage nurse just now at the VA, and they said that's not true because if that guy was infected, they wouldn't allow him to come back to work to get everybody else sick. Then he goes on routine patrol and picks up other people and infects them as well. So then they come back to the police station and they get everybody else sick in the jail. Something's not right here. Let me drain the. I'm gonna drain the water and the fat out of this ground beef real quick. I mean, it's just way too much stuff going on right now. If you look at how the Chinese got a hold of this thing within, what did they say, 24 hours, they already had a hold of it. They've got a way that they've already stopped it, and they're getting minimal cases popping up, but they don't share it with anybody else in the world. I mean, I don't understand how they figured out how to get ahead of it, but they don't share it with anybody else. Point this down so we can talk a little bit. Watch this food. But why would you allow somebody to come back to work if they were infected? I just sent her a text message and said, look, the triage nurse was telling me the story that you're telling me doesn't seem legit because that means he's going to go back to work and get everybody else sick. That means his wife may have it and she may have got the office sick. And then that means that if you got it, you gave it to me, I may be sick and not even know it. to take some of this out of here. So that was taco seasoning I put in there to season it. You can make your own at home, or you can buy the stuff in the pack. The stuff in the pack has got some less than desirable ingredients in it, but right now we're just keeping it low carb. We're not focusing on too much of really super strict keto. We're just trying to keep it low carb, baby, low carb. Morning, Julie. Nope, not goulash. I'm making a dip for pork rinds tonight, so when we sit down and watch a movie. No, we're not doing meat. Let's do the hush. You know, this is lockdown food, man. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Nice and dippy stream, like. Bob, you got that vegan food on your mind. Alrighty. Back it up. Bring us on. Drain some of this grease off of here. I told her I was going to make a cheesy taco dip later, and she was like, okay, I'll do it. There's just a lot of grease on this, and I know she's not going to like that if I don't get rid of it. There we go. That's much better. Much, much, much better. Yeah, well, I wanted something that we could heat up later where it wouldn't take forever. So we're gonna try it real quick. Let's select the right chip for videoing purposes, right? In the name of science. Oh yeah, that's nice. Nice and steamy, good looking. Mmm. That's good. Good morning, Anthony. That's real good. Probably needs just a little bit more seasoning. Got it. Mmm. That's good. I'm going to put a little bit more seasoning in there. It'll be alright. We ain't got to cook it. Maybe just a little bit of sriracha sauce. A little bit of sriracha. Let's try it now. I can dig it. That's pretty good. Needs a little salt though. Needs to be a little saltier. That's it. That's all it needed. A little bit of salt. You know what beef hot dogs I like? I'll show you the beef hot dogs I like. They're not perfect, but they're like the best that you can find locally. I like to support local, so you should check these out. I like these. These Nathan Jumbo beef hot dogs. These are freaking good, man. These are like mouth-watering good. You cook them the right way, and they blow up and get nice and plump and juicy. They sell these out of Chicago, I think. This is like a New York hot dog. Oh, nice. Yeah, I love these things. These Nathans are by far the best tasting beef hot dog that I've ever had. And I think they're out of New York or something like that. Yeah, Jericho. Nathan's Famous Systems Incorporated, Jericho, New York. But they're packaged or they're distributed by a company, John Morrell. in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they sell them here in Chicago. They use these a lot. So when I say local, it's not really local, but it's a hot dog that's famous to Chicago because of, the original creator in New York, and we love them here. These Nathan hot dogs, you get them nice and cooked real nice and juicy. You bite into them, and all that beef juice gushes out into your mouth and stuff. I mean, they're good. They're really, really good. Yeah, I was. Oh yeah, that's right. I did make a video on these hot dogs, the Nathan's hot dogs. They're every time I go to the store and see them, the ingredients are very minimal. I mean, they're not. It's not super super clean, but they're minimal. It's like beef, water, sorbitol, sodium diacetate, erythrobate, and nitrate. So, it's got some of the sodium derivatives or whatever. Yeah, I've grilled them. They're phenomenal. Put them in the microwave. They're good. Slow cook them in just a little bit of water in a pan or whatever. Make them plump up real nice, giant, fat, and juicy. They're there's no fillers, no artificial flavors, no corn syrup in these. Best way I like to eat pig a-holes. All right, Bob. Bob said he can't get the coronavirus because he's a virgin. I said, yeah, okay. Bob is not a virgin. Mmm. Mmm, mmm, mmm. Mmm. What do you guys think about Ange and what she said about the whole police officer going back to work today? I think that's a made up story. I think whoever's telling her that story, I think they're just fabricating it. Are you sure you don't want Frank to bid? Because I bet you Frank will pay the most amount of money. Um, I don't think she's being honest about that. I don't think the girl telling Angie the story on her husband getting tested positive for COVID-19 and then going back to the police station after they clean it and reinfecting the police station. I don't think that's legit. I think that girl's telling her stories. I think she's telling her stories because she wants to maybe possibly not go into work. And if her work thinks that this is true, then the whole office will probably be told to go home. The sad thing about it is how many of us have come into contact with people that possibly have this virus and we don't even know it? How many of us probably have this virus and we don't even know it because they're not testing anybody that thinks that they could? Even if you 100% knew that you came in direct contact with somebody with this virus, they will not test you for it. I called this morning, I called the trauma nurse, I called the local Med Express, like the emergency walk-in company. They will not. Everybody's refusing. If you do not have a fever, if you're not coughing, if you don't feel some kind of sickness or whatever, and you're completely fine, they will not test you. I think that she just wants to go home and work from home, and that's why she made up the story. Because why would any police station allow a police officer to come back to work if he's tested positive for COVID-19? They would not allow that. They would quarantine him. They would say you need to go home and stay home, or you need to go to the hospital and stay at the hospital, one or the other. They would not let him come back to work and just clean the police station and then go back to work. It wouldn't happen. So I think, when I was brought it up to her last night, when I told her it sounded like a made up story last night, as soon as I heard it, she got upset with me because she was like, "Well, that's my coworker. She sits right next to me. We talk about everything or whatever." Like, she was offended by me telling her I think her coworker's making up that story, that she's lying about it. So I don't. It just doesn't seem legit. You know what I mean? Yeah, and as far as I'm gonna go right now without getting anybody in trouble, is I put the pressure on Angie. You know, I sent her a couple text messages this morning saying, "Hey, look, I called the local facilities here. They won't test you if you don't have symptoms. If uh, I called up the VA. I talked to the triage nurse there that deals with the emergency stuff. They won't test you if you don't have symptoms. I'm calling back to talk to my primary care provider to see what she thinks I should do. And if she tells me the same thing, that this doesn't even sound legit, they would not allow this person to come back to work. And they are letting this person come back to work, and they could have possibly affected other people, then this needs to escalate very, very fast, because this is the type of stuff that spreads it, and people don't know that they're spreading it. You know, it's sad that they would even attempt to do something like this as a police station if it's true. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, what happens when this guy pulls people over? He's got to respond to an emergency incident, or he's out on patrol. Um, I think that eventually, if it gets bad enough, the banks will close, because you're handling stuff that's going to them, and they could get sick from that. A face mask does not stop people from getting it. So people can think everything, you know, people can believe all this jargon about putting a mask on your face is going to stop you from getting it. That's not it. It's going to stop you from spreading it to somebody possibly, but it will not stop you from getting it. And even at that, it's still not really going to stop you from spreading it to somebody. It may lessen it to a degree, but not very much. What a lot of people don't understand is viruses have fatty membranes, and when we use stuff like alcohol and stuff like that, it's not that the alcohol is killing the virus, it's breaking down the membrane around the virus. When that membrane breaks down, the virus getting exposed to the elements without having that fatty membrane around it, is that's what ends up killing it. Now, when I talk to a lot of nurses and stuff and doctors in general, they know about the virus, they know what it does, and they can talk to you about curing it, but they can't talk to you about what the makeup of is of it. They're not paid to know that. Um, so the membrane around, when you break it down, just getting exposed to the elements in general is what kills it. Direct sunlight, air, and things like that. So if you just use stuff like, you know, dial soap or whatever, that soap breaks down the membrane of that fat as well. So it's not necessarily the alcohol itself that's doing it. It's the fact that the membrane's being broke down so it can be exposed to the elements. And once that happens, then the virus ends up becoming a problem. Or once that it gets exposed to the elements, that's when the virus dies. So that's why they are saying now, with a lot of the CDC recommendations, use soap, a really sudsy soap, and wash your hands for about 20 seconds, because they realize now that it's not just the alcohol content that's breaking it down, it's the soap in general that's breaking down the fatty membrane on the virus that's causing it to die off. So hand sanitizer is the minimal effect of what it's going to take to do this. Like the soapy, you know, your soapy hand washing, cleaning off your handles and stuff around the house, you know, once or twice throughout the day. Not being OCD about it. Well, if you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. But just keeping things clean for the most part with some kind of soapy warm water wash, it seems to be the key. And then when people were talking about it getting in the throat, obviously the virus likes to sit in the throat and cause this itchy, dry-like sensation that ends up affecting your mucous membrane and stuff like that, and it starts to harden the mucus, and it causes breathing complications and fibrosis starting on the lungs. So again, to remind people that may have not heard it before, holding your breath for 10 to 15 seconds and then breathing out will show you whether or not you're starting to get this fibrosis buildup. Because by the time you feel it in the throat, 50% of your lungs are probably already affected by the fibrosis that's caused by the liver or by the virus. So if you just hold your breath for about 10 seconds plus and then breathe out, and you continually cough after that, or it's extremely uncomfortable and painful, then it's probably time to get checked for something. That's early signs that you've got the virus, and that it's affecting you. So there's a lot of things that people aren't talking about, how to check early on. You know, a couple times throughout the day, just take a deep breath and hold it in, and just try to hold it for 10 seconds and then breathe out. And then once you breathe out, if that painful feeling stays around and the constant coughing continues, you know, you should be able to breathe out without choking on, or that pain making you choke that's in your lungs. So they're saying that's an early way to test it. It's a really, really good way to make sure the fibrosis hasn't started on your lungs.
So there's a number of ways to look at this. There's a number of things to do to check to see if you have it. I don't have any of those issues. She's really worried right now because I said something to her about it, and she said, "Dude, I don't know, man." She said they're telling me I need to go back into work, and she said I have a respiratory condition, and I said, "Well, why are you even going into work if you have a respiratory condition?" And she said, "Trying to have my doctor write me a note to let them know so I can give it to them so I can work remotely from home because I can order all the loads of flour and mill and stuff like that from home." She works for a company that supplies our food chains with the breading material that go around like the chicken sandwiches and stuff like that. And they're the largest company in the world for this, or in the United States for this. I don't know about the world. And she can work right from right here at this table. She can remote access through her computer, and she can order all the loads in, the train cars in, and stuff like that from right here. She's done it before, and she could do all the customer payments and stuff from right here. So I don't understand why they would even need her at work if it was a concern. But I'm not her boss. I can't tell her what to do. She's gonna have to do that for herself, and she's really worried right now. She's like, well, if I do have something, how do I know I'm not giving it to other people? How do I know I haven't given it to you or my brother? Or how do we know we already didn't have it? Look back in January when all of us were getting super, super insanely sick. More sick than what we typically would be. I was down for days and days and days. How do I know I didn't have it then? Because they're saying this has been around actually since like October. It hasn't been. If you look in 2019, there's something like, I don't know if it's like 60,000 different cases throughout 2019 that have all come back from the corona type virus strands. And now that all of a sudden they're saying in January is when China was affected. There's all these like conspiracy theories that were coming around. But if you look at the data sheets, there's there's been strands of the coronavirus being passed around for years now. I'm waiting for her to text me back to see what she says. Actually, I'll see if she said anything yet. No, she hasn't said anything yet on here. But it's sad that that businesses will tell their employees to come back in even if there's without a shadow of a doubt that somebody could possibly be sick. Wait a second, you got to get tested first. Don't come back to work until we know for sure. Give me 2 negative tests and we'll go from there. We'll even pay for it. But that's not the case. So I don't I don't understand what the story is here, and I'm hoping she gets back to me sometime this morning to let me know what she thinks about it. I'm gonna call my primary care provider whenever we get off of here to see if my primary care can't get me in somewhere for me to possibly be tested for it. Because if her coworker that sits next to her has it and could have possibly given it to her because of her husband, how do I know I'm not going to go back to work and give it to somebody? I'm still working right now. I mean, we're on rotational shifts. They got two guys, the two guys from Saturday that were working, they had come in on Monday. And then they had two other techs come in to help out. From what I understand, you could still come in if you want to because you're considered an essential part of the business. But they want to minimize the amount of people coming in if there's no work, especially if you're going in and you're wasting your time. They don't want you to waste your time if you could be sitting at home, relaxing, doing the same thing that you would be doing at work, which would be nothing. So I'm kind of like to the point now where I'm just waiting to see and hear. I've checked in with one of our service riders on Saturday. I messaged him and said, "Hey, is there any work?" He said, "No, we just got a couple of oil changes came in. That's it." So then I'm gonna reach out to them later today and see what's going on at work. It's probably dead because there's like no cars on the road at all right now around here. You might hear one car drive every once in a while, like every couple minutes a car will drive by, but normally there's a bridge. You can't really see it too much, but right back up that's a hill that goes up right there, and it's one of the main roads that go through here. It's Route 53. You can see that railing right there. That's Route 53, and it goes all the way down to North Avenue, and that's one of the main roads down here that people travel. See, there's a car, and it'll be a while before you see another car. There's no cars on the road right now. Normally they're phew, 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 flying there. Well, I guess there's more than what I thought, but they're they were just they're just constantly through here all the time because this is one of the main routes to get through here, and there's like nothing on the road. You see 2 cars, now nothing. There's one right there, but this is very rare. There's another one, and another one. Must have hit a red light and then everything turned green, and now all of them are coming by right now. But normally, you see, like right now, how all these cars are going through. Normally, this is all day. There's no gaps in between anything here. Like right now, there's no cars going past. You don't see this ever. There's constantly cars going down this road all day. You just hear it nonstop. It's like a NASCAR track. Anyhow, so that's where we're at with all this. There's more than what I thought, I guess. Give it about another hour or two, and I bet you there will be nothing because now people are still going to work right now. It's still not even just barely past 8 o'clock, and a lot of people start at 9. So I bet you come like 9:30, 10 o'clock, just like yesterday, there'll be nothing. There'll be nobody driving around at all. The few people that go to work will be at work, but I'm a little worried right now, honestly. I haven't been this worried in a long time. Just the fact that if she gave me something, how am I not going to have that on my mind that I didn't give it to my coworkers? You know, how could you not think about that? So I'm going to see if they can get me in somewhere today and have me tested. But just for the simple fact that this happened, even if they did allow me to come back into work, I would tell them about this and say, hey, look, I don't know if I should come in at this point, because if this girl's story is true, and she's not fabricating it, I don't want to go to work with the possibility of me knowing that I might be sick and get somebody else sick, and then they carry it home and get their family sick. This is crazy because I'm the one trying to keep ahead of all this and like keep people informed and tell them how to check for it and stuff like that, and I'm the one that gets it, if I did get it. Anyhow, that's it for this morning, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. I don't want to bore you guys to death with me popping up on here all the time, but I appreciate you being here, and I'll try to catch you later sometime. If I have an idea to make lunch or dinner or something like that, I'll share it with you. But until then, take care. Have a great morning. I hope you stay sane in this time of chaos right now, and just take it as easy as possible. Try to stay as least stressed as possible, and enjoy your time off if you can. Thanks, guys. Be blessed. Have a great day.